I want to talk about something that sounds simple, but for a lot of responsible women, it's not easy. And that is to stop volunteering yourself. Not every need is your assignment, not every problem is yours to solve, and not every situation requires your presence. Now, I know that might sound harsh, especially if you're someone who prides yourself on being dependable and showing up for others. But I want you to think about this. A lot of us are not overwhelmed merely because people ask too much of us. Sometimes we're overwhelmed because we keep assigning ourselves to things that no one actually asked us to carry. We volunteer our time before someone inquires. We step into conversations before we're invited. And we spend our energy, focus, finances, and emotional bandwidth on situations that were never ours. And then we wonder why we feel so drained. Now, yes, sometimes people do ask too much of us. They do. People overstep. They expect access to our resources in ways that are not healthy. But if we're being honest, there are times where we create assignments no one gave us. And that matters because every assignment requires something from you. And when you keep volunteering yourself for responsibilities that were never yours, you eventually have less capacity for the responsibilities that actually belong to you. So let's explore this. You're listening to Making Space for Me, the podcast for women who spend so much time caring for everyone and everything else that they often neglect their own needs. I'm Otanthia Williams-Brady, nurse practitioner and certified life coach. And here we have honest conversations about how to stop abandoning yourself inside of your responsibilities and start practicing self priority as stewardship so you can better care for your health and well being. So, I wanted to speak to this subject today because I see it, I know it, I've lived it. I used to be really bad at volunteering myself before I was asked. Someone would tell me about a situation, and before I even took a moment to think, I would start figuring out how I could help. I would offer my hours, my opinions, my dollars, and my services because I saw a need and I assumed and felt like I needed to respond to it. But then, after taking on said responsibility, I would sometimes feel frustrated, overwhelmed, or drained by the same responsibility that I had just placed upon myself. And it wasn't always demanded of me. It wasn't always required of me. Sometimes no one even asked. I just volunteered. And after a season of burnout, I came to realize that I was unknowingly creating some of the stress in my life. Now, not all of it, because the responsibilities and the demands of life were real, but yeah, some of it. And while that was a hard truth to come to, it was also a freeing one because if I was the one who kept volunteering myself, it meant I could also learn to stop. And I did. I learned that everything did not require my participation or commentary, and that sometimes self care looks like minding your own business. Now, when I say minding your own business, I don't mean that in a cold, disconnected, or careless way. I mean it in a discerning, healthy way. A way that requires you to pause before inserting yourself and ask, am I helping because I'm genuinely called to, or because I feel guilty, afraid of disappointing someone, or desperate not to be seen as uncaring? Guilt will assign you to things that God did not. Fear will assign you to things just to avoid discomfort. And the need to appear dependable, available, or kind will assign you to things that quietly drain you. Thus, the why matters. Helping from love and helping from an internal pressure can look identical on the outside, but feel completely different on the inside. One gives life and the other one slowly takes it. Now, let me be clear about something. Helping is not the problem. Showing up for people is beautiful. It really is. Community matters. Service and generosity matters. Being supportive matters. But there is a difference between helping and overfunctioning. There is a difference between being dependable and having no boundaries. And there's a difference between being present for others and being absent from your own life. And for many of us, that line has gotten blurry. We see a need and we jump. We hear about a problem and we start problem solving. We watch someone struggle and we immediately feel like it's our job to relieve them. And before we've even asked ourselves one honest question, we are already in the middle of something that we never really wanted to carry. We're giving time we didn't have, spending money we didn't budget for, providing services that exhaust us, and emotionally holding situations we don't have space for. This isn't about being selfish or self centered. It's the difference between compassion and compulsion. Compassion says, I care. Compulsion says, I have to fix this. Compassion can be present and still have boundaries. Compulsion feels responsible for everything it sees. Compassion asks, how can I support in a healthy way? Compulsion just jumps right in and does too much. So here's the reframe I want you to get. Wisdom is not just knowing how to help. Wisdom is knowing when helping is actually yours to do. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is leave something alone. Let people ask. Let adults be adults. Let folks experience the consequences of their choices. Let people grow without you rushing in to manage, fix, or soften everything for them. Sometimes people need to discover what they're capable of, and they can only discover that when you step back. This does not mean that you don't care. It means that you understand that care does not always require control. And I'm not saying that every yes outside of yourself is wrong. That's not even realistic. There are seasons where we carry more. There are seasons where people genuinely need us. There are seasons where sacrifice is just a part of the process. There are moments where showing up costs us something real, and we do it anyway because it's right, it's necessary, and it's aligned. But there is a difference between a season and a lifestyle. And trying to manage your life and manage the situations in everyone else's life too, that's just too much. It's not sustainable and it's not always necessary. This is where you learn about stewarding your capacity, your time, your energy, your body, your mind, your peace, your resources have all been entrusted to you. You are responsible for how you spend them. And if you keep giving them away without discernment, you will eventually find yourself feeling depleted, resentful, overwhelmed, or disconnected from yourself. There is so much talk around setting boundaries, but boundaries are not just about telling people no. Sometimes the boundary is you not inserting yourself. So this week, I want you to practice one thing. Before you volunteer yourself, pause. That's it. Before you say, oh, I can help, pause. Before you offer money, pause. Before you rearrange your day or your whole life around someone else's situation, pause. And in that pause, ask yourself, was I asked? Do I have the capacity? Is this actually mine to carry? Am I being led or am I operating from an internal pressure? Look, you don't have to turn this into a complicated process. Just practice the pause. Now, when you're used to jumping in, pausing can feel wrong. When you're used to managing everything, stepping back can feel selfish. But that discomfort that you feel, that's growth. Just think about what you could experience in your life if you stopped volunteering yourself so quickly and so often. What? A little more peace? Maybe more energy for the responsibilities that actually belong to you? What about more space for your own health, your own purpose, and your own needs? That discomfort is worth it. So let me bring you back to the main point. Stop volunteering yourself so much. Not because you do not care, but because you're learning to care with discernment. You are learning that every need does not have to become your responsibility. Sometimes making space for yourself starts with not giving yourself away so quickly. Thank you for listening to Making Space for Me. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and keep making space for you.